What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're jumping into Hardware issue number 1. Now, we've covered some Icon and Rocket, we've covered some Static so far, and so, of course, we gotta cover some Curtis Metcalf. Now, this is a great introduction if you have no idea who Hardware is. And if you do know who Hardware is, this is going to be a reintroduction with a little bit of changes to the origin story that you know. Now, this is written by Brandon Thomas. It is colored by Chris Sotomayor. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright, gang, so as we dive into issue number 1, I wanted to do just a quick introduction to who he is from the Milestone universe. Because Curtis Metcalf, he's a genius inventor. He created everything that he uses, all of these high-tech gadgets, to fight organized crime. Somebody that was a working class child prodigy, discovered at the age of roughly like 12 or 13 years old. He was discovered by a big time businessman by the name of Edwin Alva. And under the guidance of Edwin, he blossomed into this great person who has amazing potential and is a genius level inventor. But our story, it's going to pick us up in our early days. And Curtis is reminiscing of one of his early memories with his father. This memory being at a protest. Now, of course, at his age, it's very questionable if he should even be at a protest, but his father brought him along anyway. Really gave him his first experience of the people standing up against whatever they disliked at that time. The voice of the people, the right of the people. This was one of his happiest moments in his life, from him and his father being together. And it was the first thing he thought about when the protest started again. The only thing different about this time is it would come in the form of what they are now calling the Big Bang, when everybody got their powers. And this Big Bang was all because of a chemical that was administered during a protest. During that protest, they shot these tear canisters out. And when people inhaled them, this is when some of them began to get superpowers, to include Static. And the person that is being held responsible for this is Curtis Metcalf, because it was him who was overseeing the operations of having these developed, under the direct guidance of Edwin Alva. Or at least that is what the world is being told. That is what the media is saying, and now there is a city-wide manhunt looking for Curtis Metcalf. But Curtis was framed. Somebody framed him for all of this, because this isn't something he would do. He wouldn't administer this canister untested on humans, not knowing what it would do. Because every night he suits up his Hardware, he goes out and he fights crime. It goes against the very principles of everything that he stands for. And the man that betrayed him, it was Edwin Alva, his boss, his mentor, someone that he seen like a father for his whole life. But he vows he is going to make him pay for this. For every ounce of turmoil that he is now suffering, for being on a manhunt, for giving everything he has to his company, only to be backstabbed and betrayed in this manner. And with him gearing up, we see the police come in like the freaking military. Them having their guns drawn, ready to unload on him if he does not surrender. And when he doesn't, though they don't give him much time to surrender at all, he puts up a force field. This blocks all of the incoming rounds as they completely unload on him. But his shield only will last for so long. And so, having to make his grand escape, he sits behind a decoy, he throws on his jetpack, he blasts out of there, and he detonates the building. And we see flames going out in all directions. But with Curtis making his way to the sky, this is not the end of his fight. This is where he is met by what look like freaking Apache helicopters. And he uses his plasma knife and takes one of these guys down, getting as close as he can and getting in on the pilot. And we see Hardware start dogfighting with the last Apache. Them going toe-to-toe, missiles being fired, bullets being shot. Hardware is definitely giving these pilots a run for their money. But at the end of the day, he has the mobility. He has the ability to go up, down, left, right, in whatever manner he chooses, much quicker than this helicopter could ever keep up. and with it firing one of its missiles, Hardware grabs it and flings it back at him. Hitting the helicopter, we see it go down to the ground. But with that happening, Hardware has a malfunction with his jetpack, disconnecting from him and lighting him up. He goes falling to the ground. As he falls to the ground, his jetpack, malfunctioning, finally fixes itself, comes back down, and is barely able to grab onto it before he falls to his death. But that's what's going to pick us up at the headquarters of Alva Industries. Currently, Edwin Alva talking with the authorities, saying how he could never understand how Curtis would do something like this. Really just playing it up, playing like he's the victim, like he was completely unaware. Now, to the authorities, it really seems like he's trying to play the innocent guy. Trying to play the guy like, there's no way Curtis could do that. He's my friend. I cared about him. And the police are trying to tell him that this was all his idea. He could have stopped the Big Bang from happening, and he never did. And so he must not have known Curtis as much as he thought he did. But we know this is Edwin just making a ploy, putting on an act for all of these officers so that he can clean his hands of any responsibility tied to this. But that's when we pick up with Hardware, looking like he has been through the freaking ringer, wreckage all around him, his jetpack just malfunctioning still, barely able to make it to the ground, and this is where he's met by 2 more helicopters. And finally being done with this, being over with all of this garbage, he activates his plasma knife and he shoots it directly into the windshield of one of these aircrafts. And this causes it to completely go up in flames. And as police officers report back, they're saying that there is no sign of Hardware anywhere to be seen, and all of the helicopters, they have been downed. But this police officer, he is reporting to Edwin Alva, telling them to continue their search, to continue looking for him, because he is alive and he is somewhere out there. But Alva doesn't have to look for long, because this is when something sticks to his window and he hears a thunderous voice saying, "You tried it." And Edwin saying, of course he did. He had to try it, that it wasn't anything personal. And this is where we see the arguments. It's really just Edwin confessing to doing this, confessing to releasing this chemical during the Big Bang. In doing this, creating all of these new mutant metahumans. And of course that he blamed it on him. At the end of the day, Edwin truly believes that he created Curtis. Everything that he is, everything that he was able to accomplish was all due to Edwin, giving him an education, giving him the best things in life, something his family could have never given him. And Curtis just happened to be the perfect scapegoat. Somebody that has all of the knowledge to be able to do this, that was helping develop this. And Edwin creating a situation where all the evidence points towards him. It was really as easy as signing a piece of paper for Edwin. And Edwin tells him there's nothing you can do. For all of your anger, for all of your hostility, it's tired, it's boring, you're played out, and you pretty much just need to call it a day. And we see the windows completely shatter. Hardware making his way inside and letting him know that Hardware's not going to kill him. He's going to make him face the justice, face everybody that he hurt. He is going to clear his name, and he is going to bring Edwin down. And then we will truly see who made who. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We are seeing the war break out. This is our origin story for Hardware, and I am 100% on board, ready to dive into this and see where they're going to go with the story. You know, for the most part, everything lines up with what we know of the character, with a few small changes here and there, but I really don't mind it. I think it's a good way to go and really introducing these characters to a whole new audience that may not know who they are. I think the dialogue is on point. It 100% supports who Curtis Metcalf is, who Hardware is as a person. You really get an idea of his attitude, of his mannerisms, of how he handles himself and how he handles conflict. The artwork, I think, really does pay tribute to Hardware, to the early 90s, to the art style that was really birthing these characters from the get-go. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.